Right off the bat, the internet seemed very perplexed about how does an accidental drowning occur. I immediately thought of Matthew Perry and Whitney Houston. They had the same cause of death, so we know where that came from. There's no illicit behavior, nothing, no smoking gun that you can really point to other than a powerful current in the ocean while you were swimming with your family on vacation, which is like maybe the most tragic circumstances of all. Everything was good, you're hanging out with your family, you're on vacation, you're making memories, and next thing you know, a rip current rips you away, and that's all she wrote. I honestly don't know what's worse. Something that's regrettable and reckless leaves you wondering why and how did we miss this and could this have been avoided. Something like this, though, is just like 1 minute you're good and the next minute you're gone. With your family there, and I'm sure they were trying to save you, and oh my God, that is absolutely gut-wrenching. Just one of those examples of how Mother Nature can be an absolute deadly force. So once again, rest in peace to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, gone at the age of 54, simply from a rip current while swimming with his family. Oh.
Earlier, I've never seen so many cowards and black men in this business. I would have to put my brother Tyler Perry in that. See, when I see you do a clip and you go to TD's church, and I watch you write a check for $1 million in front of the congregation, and you give it to this man, was that for the congregation to give more money? Or was that really genuine?
She's so fierce.
See, when no one's watching, who are you? So when everyone's watching, and we got a chance to see when no one was watching.
Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them.
First person to pay Taraji P. Henson the most money she's ever made. And then we said, but did you pay her fairly? And then he said, I paid her more than she's ever made. What does that mean, brother?
Mr. Perry comes in, everything changes. So we literally run the entire episode for him, and he hates it. He says, you know, I want Jeffrey to be gay, and he has a crush on.
Just when we thought Malcolm-Jamal's death didn't have any foul play involved. Katt Williams and Monique just stepped into the chat, and baby, they have a different story to tell. Katt and Monique have been on an industry exposed run for some time now, and Malcolm's sudden death just brought them back out again. According to them, there's more layers to his death than we are being told, and the good old Tyler Perry may have had a hand in it. Tyler was quick to do a whole memorial reading for Malcolm when news about his death hit the internet, but word on the street is it was all a cover-up. Monique and Katt have not had anything nice to say about Tyler for years now, and they definitely don't now. Apparently, Tyler tried to indulge Malcolm in some shady industry activities that he wanted no parts of. And just before he got the chance to expose him, he mysteriously died in a foreign country. Y'all better sit up for this because the details are about to shock you. Now, as most of y'all already know by now, Malcolm died a couple of days ago. And according to reports, he was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter at a beach in Costa Rica when he drowned. His daughter almost drowned along with him, but she was luckily saved by a surfer. While Malcolm was pulled out the water by a volunteer lifeguard, they performed CPR on him, but it quickly became clear that he was already gone. The forensic pathology department said that the autopsy confirmed Malcolm's cause of death asphyxiation by submersion and was apparently accidental.
TMZ is now reporting that Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, which was initially called accidental drowning, was due to a high current in the ocean while on a family vacation. Initially, TMZ simply reported that they had an unconfirmed but reliable source saying that he simply died of accidental drowning, no other detail. Right off the bat, the internet seemed very perplexed about how does an accidental drowning occur. I immediately thought of Matthew Perry and Whitney Houston. They had the same cause of death, so we know where that came from. But in this case, it seems like there's no foul play, no drugs, no illicit behavior, nothing, no smoking that you can really point to other than a powerful current in the ocean while you were swimming with your family on vacation, which is like maybe the most tragic circumstances of all. Everything was good, you're hanging out with your family, you're on vacation, you're making memories, and next thing you know, a rip current rips you away, and that's all she wrote. I honestly don't know what's worse. Something that's regrettable and reckless leaves you wondering why and how did we miss this and could this have been avoided. Something like this, though, is just like 1 minute you're good and the next minute you're gone. With your family there, and I'm sure they were trying to save you, and oh my God, that is absolutely gut-wrenching. Just one of those examples of how Mother Nature can be an absolute deadly force. So once again, rest in peace to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, gone at the age of 54, simply from a rip current while swimming with his family. Oh.
Now, you'd think that this autopsy would be enough for people to believe he really died from drowning and that there was no foul play involved, but it did the complete opposite. Quick word, somebody on a big stage is about to fall. A star from The Cosby Show has died. Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned yesterday while on vacation with his family. You see, prior to Malcolm's death, he was having some issues with a very prominent person in the industry. And even though he never came out to mention the person's name, a lot of folks believe it was Tyler Perry. In fact, just days before his death, he did an interview where he talked about how this popular person tried to give him a role in their movie, but the role required him to basically sell his soul by doing things he didn't want to do. Apparently, this wasn't the first time the person had brought a deal like this to him. He has had to turn down millions of dollars, not just from this person, but other producers in the industry as well.
Of coming out the gate with Cosby, which put me in a position where, and because I've always had a good team around me, I've always been in a position where I've had the luxury of being meticulous about the kind of roles that I choose. My mom was really instrumental in getting me to understand the concept of longevity, the concept of, being versatile within this business, because she would always say, if you look at anyone in this business who's had longevity, there are times when they've been hot and times where they've not been hot. You have to decide what you're going to do during those times when you're not hot, so you're not making desperate acting choices. I've been fortunate enough to I've always had the financial wherewithal to be meticulous about the kind of work that I do. So I have a body of work that I will never have to be embarrassed by. Now, there may be some work I might be embarrassed because I might have been whack, but there's nothing in my body of work that I'll ever have to be embarrassed in that I misrepresented my people, or I have continue to perpetuate stereotypes of our people. I've been very fortunate to be able to, pick and choose. I've never had to take a role that I felt would compromise my soul.
People didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, folks started speculating that this may be Tyler Perry. Not only that, but Malcolm did this interview right around the time Tyler got sued by Derek Dixon, an actor from his show, for essaying him and blackballing him after he turned down some alleged intimate advances from Tyler. Derek is currently suing Tyler for $260 million, and he even attached messages of Tyler allegedly talking crazy in his DMs. He claims in his suit that there was a time when Tyler yanked down his underwear, cooped his butt, and said, "Relax, and just let it happen," and assured him it wasn't going to hurt. Dixon says he managed to rebuff this advance by changing the subject. People were quick to believe this because prior to Derek, Christian Keys had also made a cryptic post months before, alluding to Tyler allegedly trying to get him in bed. Unlike Derek, Christian didn't explicitly mention Tyler, but he did make it hard to figure out who he was talking about. Speaking to my brother about
making a declaration of my experience. What I experienced with certain powers that be that were moving inappropriately. This person was set me for years. He was claiming, that he had multiple young black men on the payroll, and they just had to show up when he requested them to be there. Not just women that have to deal with it, but it's also men sometimes. And it'll be men tempting men. I was like, well, I gotta protect me, because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to try to get in the way of my work. So I started recording. So I have them offering me money to take my clothes off. I have recordings when I wasn't working with them or for them. I have recordings of them confessing that, the other guys that they have on the payroll, all of the above.
And while we're on the topic of Christian, things seem to only have gotten worse between him and Tyler, because just days after Derek's suit, Christian made a post announcing that he is pulling his show from Bet and Tyler's network because there has been some sabotaging going on. And of course, people's first thought was that he was hinting at Tyler trying to blackball him because he didn't allow him to spread his cheeks wide open and have his way. Say in transparency,
it is disappointing to continuously find out that
your show is coming back on the internet instead of finding out from the network. And I've mentioned that in previous seasons, and it's still happening. Or to see the trailer online and have to go search for the trailer so I can try to download the trailer for the hit show that I created for this studio and this network, instead of getting it, getting it sent when everybody else is getting theirs. It does feel dismissive and disrespectful when it continues to happen and you've addressed it and it still happens. So at this point, I do not believe that the prequel series that I've written and the spin-off show, any prequel or sequels, I do not believe I'll be doing them with BET. Whether you noticed or not, season 2, my Created by credit was removed. And I asked to get it back and they said no. And I ended up having to call the WGA, call the union to force the studio to give me my credit back that I had earned. I created this 15 years ago and I've been working on it for 15 years. I think God gave it to me because he knew I was going to protect it, and I will. But some things, these things got to change. In the prequel and sequel space, unfortunately, there are going to be a few personnel changes. Sometimes it happens, unfortunately, where some people get entitled or arrogant and unprofessional and, start coming to work high and inebriated on a regular basis, or start saying whatever they want to when the camera's rolling, and disrespectful ad-libs and things. And those things will be addressed. So there may be some personnel changes, but the show will go on.
Initially, people didn't think Malcolm was connected to this in any way, since he and Tyler never had any public interaction. But they started to side-eye the whole situation when Tyler hosted a private memorial table reading at his studios where he invited the cast of Read between the lines. And as y'all know, Malcolm was in that show as well. This was supposed to be a nice gesture from Tyler to Malcolm. But people had different thoughts, and according to them, Tyler may have had something to do with Malcolm's death, and this private memorial may just be one big cover-up. It only got worse when that interview of Malcolm saying he turned down millions of dollars to work with a popular producer also started going viral. Now, no one is saying Tyler is actually the one behind his death. It's just a speculation folks are making on the internet. However, Tyler has a reputation for playing dirty when he doesn't get his way, and baby Monique and Katt Williams have not held back from telling us about it. Monique has been on Tyler's neck since he destroyed her career because she refused to do unpaid press rubs for their movie Precious, which was co-produced by Tyler and Oprah and directed by Lee Daniels. According to Monique, she was paid just $50,000 to be the lead actress in the movie, which was already barely enough. She didn't complain much about it, though, because that's what she agreed to. However, her problems with Tyler began when he and Oprah demanded for her to go on a press run to promote the movie without getting paid a penny, which she also refused to do because it wasn't in her contract to do free press runs around the world.
You had difficult demands.
I want to address it for the order that it went in. And when Mr. Daniels said I had these demands, it shocked me because I was saying to the screen, Don, please ask him what the demands were. And actually, there were no demands. There was a request from the movie studio, and they called and requested that I fly to France for the Cannes Film Festival. I simply said I respectfully declined, because if you can remember at the time, there was a talk show called The Monique Show. I was doing a comedy tour. I was actually in the award season of the awards, and I'm also a wife, and I'm a mommy. So when they called, I had a couple days just downtime. I wanted to spend that with my husband and my kids. So when we said we respectfully declined, the movie studio called back again. And they said, okay, well, we'll upgrade her hotel room. And my husband simply said again, we respectfully decline. She's gonna take this time with her family.
Yeah.
Well, when the third call came and they said, what is it gonna take to get Monique to France, to the Cannes Film Festival? And my husband said, is there a number associated with it? And they said, oh, we would never pay for anyone to do any promotions for a movie. And we said we understood, because what people didn't know was I was paid $50,000 to do the movie Precious. And it really wasn't about the money, and I'm not complaining because I signed up to do it with my friend.
Yeah. But
So
you're saying that because you didn't have the money to do this on your own. Is that what you're saying? That you needed to feed your family and pay your bills?
I think that's what America says.
Yeah.
I think we all say, I can't do it for free.
Right.
So when the movie studio says we can't set a precedent and pay you to do this, we didn't have an issue with them.
Okay.
But that's when the reports came that now Monique is being demanding and she's being difficult. They had a request, we simply had a request, and they said they couldn't do it, and we said we understood. That was it. Room. So Tyler Perry says to me, listen, you may really want to consider promoting this film, because if you get nominated for an Oscar award, your next film is $3 to $5 million. And if you win it, your next film is $6 to $8 million. I said, Tyler, who you talking to? I'm a black woman. Where do they pay those type of salaries, brother? I said, what I cannot do, Tyler, is work for free. I've done what I was supposed to do. I cannot go overseas and do this for free, Tyler. So then he goes on about his spiel, you know. I said, well, listen, you can write me the check for me to go overseas. I don't care where the money comes from, but I'm not going to do it for free. He says, well, I don't believe in giving money away for free. I said, I don't believe in working for free, so we're on the same page.
Now, when it comes to Katt, he has made it clear that he doesn't rock with Tyler because Tyler loves to use his power to break black men and present them to be effeminate even when they're not. He said this after the actor and voice coach Brandon Jay exposed Tyler for forcing him to play a gay boy in his TV show Meet the Browns. Jay had originally auditioned for the role of Jeffrey, a stout high school teenager who was being bullied at school. However, Tyler switched it up at the last minute and decided that Jay's character would be gay and have a crush on his high school. Jay said he was uncomfortable because Tyler was already threatening to fire him if he didn't take the role. So he had no choice but to go along with it.
It's a story time about how filming Meet the Browns was the most stressful and hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I had no idea that Tyler Perry Studios' schedule was so drastic. If you're working on a regular network show, they take a whole week to film an episode. Tyler Perry Studios, they film an episode in one day. The character was Jeffrey, a fat high school teenager who was very intellectual, who was getting bullied at school. I take 2 to 3 days to learn the entire script. On the day of filming, first thing we do is a table read. I know all of my lines. I'm ready to go. So the director, who is Alfonso Ribeiro Carlton in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he starts to block us, telling the actors where to go, where to stand. Mr. Perry comes in, everything changes. So we literally run the entire episode for him, and he hates it. Does that mean I have to learn a whole new script? Yes, that's what it means. Mr. Perry, on the spot, starts rewriting the entire script, and he's feeding me the lines to say, and the director is kind of standing on the side like, you better do it, because if not, they will fire you. Here is where the shoe hit the fan. So in the middle of Mr. Perry changing up the scenes, he says, you know, I want Jeffrey to be gay, and he has a crush on his bully. That's not what I auditioned for.
Tyler for this and claimed the reason why he forced Brandon to play that role was because he was DL and he was projecting it onto Brandon. Katt Williams stepped and fueled these allegations when he said the only reason Tyler does such a good job playing the role of media is because he cannot play a man in a movie to save his life. And have y'all seen the new Media movie? You can clearly see that Tyler did a better job playing media than when he had to actually play the role of a man. That's what the streets are saying,
Katt
not
Williams,
me.
and don't nobody know who he is. I'm on the radio. I'm with Steven Said. Everybody know me. That's what he told everybody that would listen to on the set. That's the truth of the matter. He was so egregious, not now, then. He was so egregious that, and Hollywood has never heard this in 100 years. He was so egregious, I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. Now, what was Ricky Smiley's next movie? Was it First Sunday? Did he wear a dress in it? You bet he did. It's in my contract.
Why would you put that in your contract, Katt?
That's where he's a believable actor. Him and Tyler Perry can't play a man to save their life. They play good women, and I believe that the best actor should be in the best role.